Okay, Nick, we talked previously about the practical side of it, showing jockeys where they're going wrong with their technique, etc. But the role of a jockey's coach also includes one-to-one tuition, course walks, post-race analysis. Can you tell us a bit more detail what you're trying to achieve there?
Again, it's just another kind of aspect that needs approaching. So we do course walks. So you'll have a jockey ideally walking the course, but how does he walk the course? Does he just walk from the starting stalls round to the finish? Or the way I would do it is I would say to them, right, you need to visualise, all going well, you've got the instructions in your head, how the race is going to unfold. You get the odd jockey that will say, well, that's kind of out of my kind of control. It is and it isn't. I mean, that's another aspect altogether, another topic that we could talk about for another 2 or 3 hours. But I'm a great believer in telling your body what you want to happen, seeing it through, and then 70-80% of the times that will then happen. So course walks is lots involved there, and obviously lots of the courses that I've ridden around, I can say the best way of riding a certain course. If I don't know that course, I'll speak to another coach and say, right, then you've ridden numerous runners around whatever the track may be. Give me some advice on the draw, the ground. There's numerous factors.
Just thinking back when you were a jockey, would you have read the form before going into a race, knowing that something goes off, makes the pace, something else probably drifts when it gets a bit tired, something else stays in the road? Would you try and work out possibly
pace,
what might be going on?
Probably more so on the flat to where you're drawn to where the pace is, because that's going to then dictate, right, do I take a pull, get on the rail, or there's not a lot of pace, I can get to the front and come across. So more on the flat, but also jumping, the more you can know about your competitors, how they're going to ride their horses, how those horses are going to be ridden, you've got an advantage.
Yeah, you sort of be prepared for one that might be coming from out the clouds.
Exactly.
That sort of thing.
Yeah, you've got to know your form.
I just want to go back to just briefly, the jockeys that ride out their claim. How many jockeys, have you any idea at all, how many actually go on to be successful professional jockeys once they have?
I don't know the numbers. I'll be honest with you. That's the short and sharp answer.
So I dropped this one on you. I know.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, no. I honestly don't know the numbers, the stats on that. You'll be able to get them, obviously. So yeah.
Yeah. So is there a feeling that maybe they're sort of expendable once they've got to that point from trainers? They've done that, and then they, like you say, they'd rather have I know it's obviously practicalities. They'd rather have a top jockey than a.
Yeah. Well, once again, it's making use. Obviously, a claiming £7 or even £10 when they ride for their own trainer, the boss, they're going to be used a lot more. But it's making use from the jockey side of getting the best experience. Most likely making more mistakes, so then you're more prepared for when you have your claim lost. If you're not prepared and you're not as good as a jockey who isn't going to claim, well, you're going to struggle. But that's all about how good you are, how well you're coached, how well you're looked after by your agent, your trainer. Again, there's numerous factors with that.
Now, we talked about the practicalities of being a jockey. Now, the stuff that you read about mental health issues and weight issues that quite often sometimes go hand in hand. Is there advice?
Of course, is there absolutely.
Does that come from you, or is it?
Yeah, well, I can give the advice I know, and again, like I said to you earlier, I'm a great one for the mindset. I read lots of books about the mind. I'm not saying that I'm qualified as a psychologist or anything like that, but I think half the time you don't need to be. That's not dissing any psychologists, but it's just sit down. They need somebody to talk to in confidentiality, but at the moment there's loads of people that jockeys can see if they're in that sort of situation. We call it signposts, and I'll just signpost them to the right person.
And is there any sort of confidential support for if a jockey feels that they maybe are being sort of lured into the murkier side of the game?
Yeah, once again, there is. Yeah, if that's ever to happen, they're signposted to the right person, and it's dealt with. The quicker it can be dealt with, the better.
Now, one subject that a lot of people talk about, especially people that have no interest in racing whatsoever, is the use of the whip.
Mm-hmm.
Now, first of all, what's your opinion of it, and what do you give your advice to jockeys about the use of the whip, or do they sort of make their own minds up within the rules? Is there a way you would use it?
Well, there's obviously the set rule, the stick rule and the 7 stick rule. But the way I teach my jockeys on the technical side is to really be able to push first. There's nothing worse than a jockey going straight for a stick and using that instead of, because they're probably not fit enough or they're starting to tire, this hand stops moving and the stick comes out. So what I do a thing called a whip cycle where they get it ingrained in their head where they've got to push first, wave the stick, give the horse a chance to respond, put the stick down. It might be for 3 strides, it might be for 3 seconds, but it just slows the jockey up because obviously the adrenaline's firing, they might be within a tight finish, but just slow things up, give the horse a chance to respond. Then if the horse is not responding, obviously one behind the saddle. But I mean, we do lots of hands and heels races where jockeys now are learning not to use the stick because they get penalised if they do in these certain races.
And what's your personal opinion of it?
My personal opinion is I would like to see the whip, and this will probably not go down, it won't be in, a lot of people won't like this, but I think using the whip just for a steering aid a lot more than, an aid behind the saddle. I just think when you see jockeys, especially in these hands and heels races, where all they can do is push because they can't use a stick, you just see a better rider. You see a stronger rider. Yes, some horses might go for the stick, might need the stick, but the majority, you give them a good push, a correct technique of pushing, you'll get them you'll aid them better.
Okay, you said earlier that you think it's a lot better now for jockeys than it was back in your day. Is there anything that you would still like to see changed to improve the lot of a modern day jockey?
What would I like to see changed?
Or improved?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe more races for the apprentice, more races for the conditionals. I know that there's races out there. I don't think there's enough. Also, more, because I think there is races out there, or I'm not actually too sure, where where trainers can get maybe more of a claim for a ride for their trainer. Just anything where it'll give more opportunities for these young jockeys to get more rides.
Now, is the life of a jockey something you'd recommend?
Absolutely, yeah. If that's what you want to do, it's very hard, it's very competitive. But when I decided to be a jockey when I think I was 13, that's all I wanted to do. There was no hesitation of, will I become a jockey? Will I make it as a jockey? It was just, that's what I was going to do and that's what I did. So, obviously if the person, came to me and said, I want to be a jockey, if they really want to be a jockey, absolutely. But for me, that's like anything in life. You want to do something, do it, Okay,
so somebody, what would be your recommended route in? If you're a young person, still at school, maybe no racing background, you're interested in becoming a jockey, what would you advise the best way in would be?
Come and see me. No. Joking apart, just get lots of experience on your so-called hacks, your general purpose horses, your ponies, your 14-2s. Do lots of, horseman stuff, show jumping, anything where you're getting to know how a horse kind of thinks. And then obviously from there, get into a yard, start riding out race horses, because obviously race horses are a lot different to your normal kind of general purpose horses, and just experience. More experience, the better, to then leading on to obviously going to the British Racing School or the Northern Racing College.
Okay, you said jokingly they'll come and see you, but would you take on a 14-year-old that wanted to get into the game and would like to start off on the right foot? Would you do offer?
Absolutely, I do that now. Like that? I've got there's Owen Lewis who's just got his license. I think he's had it 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks. He came to me. He was pony racing, but he came to me when he was 14. Yeah, so I don't have a lot of young lads, but I do a lot of kind of young adults before they get into the racing game. Okay,
Nick Bentley, thanks very much. And the website, yours will go up there now, so if anybody's interested,
great,
give you a shout.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, appreciate it.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
Thanks.